What's up, Uncle Pete? How you doing, man? How goes it? Got Slumber Party Massacre. Sorry, the Slumber Party Massacre on in the background. Hey, Heather. How's it going? So, when I first started thinking about watching these movies for this live stream, I was like, I'm not sure there's really going to be that much to talk about, and I kind of don't know that there's going to be that much for the first one, but I actually think there might be a lot for the second one because I think that was only actually the second or third time I've watched that movie, and I feel like I picked up on so much more than before. Oh, nice. That's awesome, Uncle Pete. 16 years married. That's awesome. Hey, Blue Room. That's what this is all about, John. That's what this is all about, social distancing. Actually, because of that situation is why I started doing these live streams, to be honest. Zombie, what's up? Good to see you back. Marshall. The Stallone magazine, Marshall. I love that reference. That's a great one. Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, that's pretty funny how they prominently featured that in the first film. Just give a few minutes for people to kind of trickle in, and then we'll get going on the Slumber Party Massacre. Which, here's the thing, I guess it's the Slumber Party Massacre, and then it's Slumber Party Massacre 2, not the Slumber Party Massacre 2. And I'm assuming that's just because when they did the first one, it was the only one, so it was the Slumber Party Massacre. And then after they did it, they can't say it's the Slumber Party Massacre 2 because there was already the Slumber Party Massacre. But it's just weird to see like the in the first one's title and not in the second one's. Just odd. Feels weird to me. Okay. Yeah, Uncle Pete, that's fine. Um, like I said, I'm not 100% sure how much discussion we're going to get out of the first Slumber Party Massacre, but the second one should be a good amount. So I don't know when we'll end up starting to talk about the second one, but hopefully you're around for that or can pop in. Oh, John, you really like the first one? Yeah, I really like the first one. I actually bought the Blu-ray, like the special edition Blu-ray that Scream Factory did. I have that in the basement. I haven't watched any special features, though. I really need to. Zombie, you did both of the movies today. Well, then you're totally fresh on them, so that's good. Oh, Uncle P, you like the music that the girls were making in the second one? Well, that's the thing. It's like the second movie, the music in the second movie is way better than the music in the first movie. I feel like that's one of the strongest parts of the second film is the music is good. I watched this trilogy as well as Maniac Cop trilogy. Fun times. See, I haven't watched the Maniac Cop one yet, and I'm going to. Actually, I just watched this week and did recorded reviews for all three of the sleepaway camps. And then this coming week, I'm going to watch all three of the Maniac Cops and record reviews for those. So I will be getting to it. Yeah, Slumber Party Massacre 1 overall, yeah, it's better than 2, but I think there's more to the second one. It's just as a straight up film, it doesn't play as well as the first one, or at least for me. Maniac. To be honest, Uncle Pete, I've actually never seen any of the Maniac Cop films, so I'm very, very excited to get into those this coming week. Because I've been hearing a lot about them, and I know in the first one has Bruce Campbell, Tom Atkins, and Robert Zadar. and it was directed by William Lustig, who did Maniac, which I love Maniac, and written by Larry Cohen. I mean, come on, that's amazing. I didn't like the dream sequences, and 2, they overdid it, and the killer in the second one wasn't really as scary as the first. Yeah, I mean, the killer in the second one's just, like, kitsch, you know? He's over the top, he's funny, he's wacky, but I think there's kind of a reason for that, and I'll save that for when we transition to talking specifically about the second film. I think there's a reason there was so much dream in there, and the reason that the driller killer was as exaggerated and crazy as he was. Which I like the guy's acting. The guy who played the driller killer, I think he did a good job. Yeah, Marshall checked out Maniac Cop. Yeah, Kenny. Yeah, the music in the second one. Totally nice. All three of the movies had the same executive producer who financed the series. Nice, John. Nostalgic in a way. John, you watched Slumber Party Massacre 1 4 times in 2 weeks. Dedication. That's a dedication. Or you just really like it. The first one, I think they said, was done entirely on a Casio keyboard. I mean, it sounds like it. I have it on in the background right now. Slumber Party Massacre 1, Michael Myers with the drill. Yes, Marshall. I was going to make that point about it. This is the first movie is Halloween. I mean, it is Halloween. Slumber Party Massacre 2, Freddy Krueger with a guitar drill. Yes, correct. And the second movie, the second movie isn't as much Nightmare on Elm Street as the first one is Halloween. But yeah, I think you're right. I just canceled my BAM horror box. It's crap now, but I did get a cool Sleepaway Camp art print signed by Felissa Rose. Yeah, I saw those online because I'm not getting the BAM boxes, but I'm in that group on Facebook, so I saw that they had that Sleepaway Camp art signed by Felissa. That's really cool. That's a good item to take and be like, I'm done now. Like, good enough. You're probably not going to go out on a higher note than that, to be honest. Never got into BAM horror boxes. I did the horror movie packs, but had to stop. My Blu-ray collection was getting out of hand. Yeah, and I've always had interest in those the horror movie packs, but yeah, it's I don't want more movies that I don't necessarily love or want to own. Fright Crate box is really good. Yeah, definitely. Roger Corman was the executive producer for all the films. This would explain all the nudity, especially in the first film. Corman? I guess I didn't look at it. Corman. Nice. I love Roger Corman. Like, his work ethic is insane. The fact that he's in his 90s and he's still doing what he's doing and going strong is insane to me. By the way, I got to throw it out there since Corman came up. My favorite Roger Corman film, I may have said it on here before, Death Race 2000. I love that film. It's so great. The music while the killer in the second one was chasing the characters towards the end was a little cheesy, reminded me of Scooby-Doo. Yeah. And I think it maybe is supposed to. Halloween is one of my favorite movies of all time. Nice, Marshall. That's probably why I enjoyed Slumber Party Massacre. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. If you have a deep appreciation for the first Halloween, I really think that you're going to feel the nostalgia from Slumber Party Massacre, and that's going to endear you to the film because, I mean, obviously it borrows so much from it. I mean, the whole structure of it, the way it starts, all that stuff is very, very similar to Halloween. And it just, the whole thing feels exactly like Halloween. Especially like how the neighborhood's set up and how it's just like going from house to house. It's just nobody's babysitting really. Although I guess Valerie's kind of babysitting Courtney in a way. But they're, sisters, so it's a little different. Yeah, Roger Corman was definitely a believer in nudity to sell movies. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people who made movies back then were. Like, it was the whole thing, like Joe Bob says, of a little bit lower on the noise. I think it's like Joe Bob says, the whole blood, breasts, and beasts thing. That definitely was, like, considered the way. Yeah, he's still alive. Yeah, I know. The fact that Roger Corman not only is still kicking it in his 90s, but he's producing still. He's still financing movies. He's still putting movies out there. If I wasn't moving overseas, I would have an entire room dedicated to horror movies. Yeah, I hear that, John. So let's talk a little bit about some of the stuff that we found interesting about Slumber Party Massacre, the first one, the Slumber Party Massacre. One of the things that was weird to me, interesting / weird to me, is when I'm watching it and it's so over the top with nudity. It's insane. You know, see the, for the prime example, the girls' locker room showering scene. But there's so much nudity in it, and at first I was just like, oh, you know, they were just going on sex appeal. You know, whatever guy made this was all about just, I love Halloween, but I thought there wasn't enough nudity in it, so let's make this film. And then I realized that the person who directed it's a woman, the person who wrote it is a woman, and that kind of blew me away a little bit, because I'm like, I would not assume that women would do a film this focused on the female body and all this, you know, sexual nudity. But that was the time, though, and I kind of feel like it's a situation where, like, you know, John, you were saying Corman had something to do with it. Yeah, he was probably saying, like, we need nudity in this, and you gotta be up there with the nudity. And they're like, we want to work, we want to make films, so I guess we kind of gotta listen to that. That's just a theory on mine. If it wasn't, the nudity felt so forced. Yeah, the nudity does feel forced in it, Uncle Pete. And that's the thing, like, I don't even care about nudity in films. Like, I don't need it. I don't need nudity in films. I don't need sex in films. But when it's done, it needs to make sense for me to be good with it. Like, Under the Skin. When we saw Under the Skin, it made sense. Like, the nudity in there and there wasn't a ton, it made sense. And you had female nudity and you had male nudity. Way more male nudity than female nudity, but you had it. Yeah, 80s definitely had a different vibe. That's true, Kenny. You're so right about that. She had to do it as a Roger Corman requirement. I'm sure, Uncle Pete. Yeah, I'm sure. I heard the director of the first movie passed on being an AD for E.T. Oh, really? Wow, Kenny. They passed on being an AD for E.T. That's interesting. A lot of TNA in the first one. My friends that are girls don't like it. Yeah, I can imagine that, Marshall. Well, and it's funny because there's so much nudity in the first one, and then the second one, there's still some nudity, but it's way less. Like, an insane amount less. The second one actually feels more kind of like female-oriented, like female friendship and female-friendly. Female directors were not happy with the nudity, but that was how they got into directing movies. Yeah, that was my thought on it. It's kind of one of those things where, you know, do you want to get into this job or not? And the person giving you the money and basically your boss, you have to follow what they tell you, basically. One of the movie trivia thingies I read was that the women who didn't want their boobs shown would put tape over their nipples so that if they got any footage of the boobes, I think I wrote that, they couldn't use it. That's interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting bit of knowledge. And Under the Skin, when one of the guys was walking to the water, he had a chub. Just thought that was funny. Yeah. Yeah. Nice. But it shows they were not actors. Yeah, that's true. I guess she really wanted to direct a feature film. She didn't seem to regret it. Yeah. Heard the same thing. Were the actors actually playing the instruments? Felt like they were air guitaring. Yeah, in the second one, it didn't really feel like they were actually playing the instruments. I will say that. So, one of the things that I thought about with the first Slumber Party Massacre is that the first time I watched it, I really liked it because it made me really think of Halloween. And I felt the same thing like Kenny was saying that, you know, it's Halloween, but with someone with a different weapon. Which, by the way, is a better weapon than what Michael Myers uses. Like a butcher, you know, a kitchen knife is not nearly as cool as this gigantic friggin' drill. That drill's amazing. And then they totally, in my opinion, one-up it when they go to Slumber Party Massacre 2 with the guitar drill, because the design of that thing is impressive as hell. And it worked. That's the other thing. They made it an actual working piece. I wonder who owns that at this point. But anyway, I digress. The first time I watched it, I was, you know, regular Slumber Party Massacre. I was pulled in, I think, by how Halloween it felt. And then the second time I watched it, I was kind of like, it's a bit slow. Especially for being as, like, schlocky as it is. I kind of wanted, like, more death to it. I feel like they spent a lot of time without the killer actually striking. And that kind of struck me the second time I watched it. And I was like, I felt like they needed to kind of pace the kills a little bit better. But, just my opinion on that. A lot of famous directors trained under Corman, including Francis Ford Coppola, Martin Scorsese, Ron Howard, Joe Dante, and Jonathan Demme. Yeah, John. I mean, Corman... When Corman passes, it's going to be a sad day. And I think you'll hear from a lot of very famous people who a lot of people would be surprised had close or good relationships with Corman. Yeah, it'll be a big day in a bad way. They didn't do any of the music themselves. Thanks, Zombie, for throwing that out there. They didn't do the music. It seemed like they did not. I didn't like the driller killer. He didn't come off as intimidating. Uncle Pete, you're talking about it in the first one? And not being intimidating, meaning wearing just like as much denim as possible. That was one of the things that threw me off about him being the killer, is like, I feel like you gotta dress more like a killer, And just wearing denim is very anti-killer, in my opinion. It's laughable, at least at this point, fashion-wise. The girls in the film were the oldest high school students I've ever seen. That's a good point, John. Yeah. A lot of these films, I'm looking at them right now, and yeah, definitely in their 20s. Like mid, probably. Yeah, that's crazy. The girls could have easily gotten away or killed him so many times. Yeah, but, that's 80s. That's 80s horror, Everything's formula. It's all happening because they wrote it for convenience. Is a drill supposed to be a metaphor for a male body part, considering it's an all-girl cast? Marshall, I think so, yes. And people talk about with slasher films in general, there's always been this metaphor of, the killer always using a weapon that is a penetrating thing, that it's basically like a metaphor for his penis as he's going after the women, and how the killer gets sexual enjoyment out of the killing in a way. And because they're not having sex, or they're not necessarily interested in sex, someone like Michael Myers, or, well, Freddy Krueger was at one point at least, but with kids, but they get their gratification out of the killing, and they kind of, tie it into a sexual thing by always making it some sort of phallic killing weapon. Now, with Slumber Party Massacre, obviously they take that to the nth degree, because it's not subtle at all. With a lot of the other ones, it's subtle, at least. With Michael Myers, you wouldn't necessarily see a kitchen knife as his penis. With this one, you would definitely see that drill as the dude's penis. Especially with, if you guys remember that one scene where the one girl was, she was cornered by the killer, and she was sinking down, and they shot through the back, behind the killer, through his legs, and you see her sinking down between his legs, and then he's hanging the drill right down where his penis would hang. That's unbelievably sexual, and it's not suggestive. It's just totally on the nose about, this is sexual. This is a sexual thing right here that you're watching. That said, the way they framed that shot, it did look pretty awesome. I will say that. The 12-year-old Courtney was clearly in her 20s. Yeah. I totally think so, Marshall. The idea hit home for me there at the end when she cut off the tip of his drill. Yeah, that is a good point, Zombie, is that he's emasculated at the end of the film when she does cut off that drill, and his reaction to it is just my power, which for males, their power, at least metaphorically and in film, comes from their phallus, from their penis. So when, the tip of his penis gets whacked off, basically, he's like, oh my god, and then he falls apart. He's ineffective at that point because he's not a man anymore. He's not a killer anymore. He's vulnerable. Totally. Good point. Character Linda was 28 at the time. Yep. So I was underestimating when I said mid-20s, John. Yeah. The drill, yeah. These were different in that they were the hero of a horror movie. True, true. The killer did say he was in love with them. At the end when they cut the tip off the drill. Okay, yeah. So John and yeah. The point, John, about the killer saying that he was in love with them, he was talking about, yeah, he was saying he was in love with them at times, but then he also said, do you know how much love it takes to do this, or something like that. So that definitely goes along with the sexuality of it and the drill being his penis. But also, the interesting thing then is, at the very end, when he is then getting killed, is he viewing that as being loved? Because when he says, like, killing is, do you know how much love goes into this? Does that mean that he's feeling that there's love coming from them as they're killing him? Just a rhetorical question, kind of, because obviously they don't address that, really. It just got me wondering, because he had said that. So I was like, so is he kind of like going out on top at the end? I don't know. Is it kind of like he's having sex when he dies? I don't know. It's a weird thing to think about. I'll tell you that. Yeah, I know I had some other stuff written down. Let me see what I had. Oh, not only did they have like so much nudity in it, but also the gratuitous basketball playing, because none of the women had bras on. So it was just like all about the bouncing breasts. And I was just like, this is kind of ridiculous. It just kept going and going and going. I was like, yeah, we could probably, cut this. Yeah, Heather, are you here? Haven't heard from you. Did you notice the first kill in the van? Clearly the van was soundproof. Yeah, I know, John. Plot holes? But this is the thing. Like, when I watch 80s horror films, I just expect plot holes. Don't you guys? I just expect it. Because, like, that's just how it was. Like, anything went. The amount of horror films that were greenlit back in the 80s are insane. Like, they didn't even need to be good concepts. It just had to be a concept. Just saying. But yes, it had to have been soundproof. Weird. But I go back to, it's a great killing weapon to have in that film. I think it's really cool. And how did the killer get the body into the dumpster in broad daylight without being seen? Plot hole again. Just because it was in the script, John. Because it was in the script. There you are, Heather. What up? That kill in the van was unexpected. This movie got into the gore straight away. Yeah, and that was cool. Although they didn't really show it. To be honest, like, they don't show a lot of actual kill portions. At least early on. The first, like, real kill that you get, and is satisfying, is when the guy who is in the garage, and he gets drilled through the back, through, like, his shoulder. And that looked awesome. Like, that is probably, yeah, I think that's my favorite kill. Like, that looked great. That was awesome. When you just loved it. I had the same thought. Nice, zombie. Like how they flip the roles of job positions that are usually male. There was a woman electrician on the roof and a woman handyman. Yeah, definitely, Marshall. That was very interesting to me. And actually, I wasn't expecting that because of it being an 80s slasher film. That's very progressive for an 80s slasher film to do that. It was weird. I couldn't believe I was seeing it when I first saw it. I was like, oh. Could this movie be remade today? Was a dude drilling holes in with a dude drilling holes into chicks? Yeah. This film can definitely be made today. Definitely. They could remake this. I would watch a remake of it. Play a rousing game of basket boob. Yes, zombie, that's what it was. It was totally basket boob. 100%. Yeah, 80s wants... The 80s wasn't sophisticated in terms of the plot. Yeah, or really coherent for that matter. Wasn't coherent either. There was a lot of cocaine in the 80s. Horror movies are good with plot holes and plot armor. Yes, John, you got it. Had to be gory with Judith. It's not an 80s horror movie without plot holes. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Uncle Pete. Totally, you expect it at this point. If you've seen enough 80s horror. Best part was putting the pizza on the dead body. Oh my gosh, yes, that's a ridiculous part where she's just like, "Well, I'm hungry, you guys." I don't think you'd be thinking about being hungry at a time like that. Yeah, and especially like you're pointing out, putting the pizza on the body and basically eating off a dead body. I did like how both of the eyes were drilled out. That was cool. That looked really awesome. Yeah, they don't show everything, Kenny. Yeah, they don't. It's one of those things where, like, sometimes after you've seen the film, you think that you saw certain things, but you didn't actually see it because they did a good job alluding to what was going on. Because they show them going in, they don't show the actual thing, but then they show the aftermath, so your brain just kind of, like, fills in the gap. That's actually, they've done studies about that actually happens when people watch movies. That if there's not something there, the brain will just fill in the gap in people's memories later. It's crazy. Best part was yeah. Oh yeah, I already read that. Yeah, pizza scene so good. She still ate the pizza. Yeah, girl who was actually eating the pizza. Yep. Yeah, I like that we all were just like, what the hell with the pizza scene. The character Jackie, who is eating the pizza off the dead body, is married to retired Denver Broncos safety Dennis Smith. Wow. Huh. Interesting. Always coming with the knowledge, John. I appreciate that. I want to know why they focus so much on the baseball game and who homered. Oh, I know. They called the coach to ask. Just feel like there was time for that in the script. Did it signify anything? Show don't tell. Easy way to save money on special effects. Yeah, that's definitely true. But yeah, the whole thing about the baseball game, like that, them perseverating on that baseball game so much, it seemed like a time waster to me, like 100% just like filler, because this isn't a long movie. It's what, like an hour, like less than an hour and 20 minutes pretty much. So it really feels like there were parts of this where they're like, excuse me, we're not at the runtime. Just put something in. So then they came up with this idea of them being obsessed with figuring out how the runs were scored in the game. Oh, they're talking about it now. Keeping the theme of keeping it brutal, the character Valerie Robin Still committed suicide at age 34. Jesus. Way to bring it down, John. Yeah, that sucks. It's always crappy to hear when that happens. When did she do that? Because was she around for the events of the second movie? Because she wasn't in it. She's referenced quite a bit. Oh, a funny moment when the girls go investigate the sound of breaking glass. Trish realizes she left the burner on, so the glass broke. She then handles the bottom of the pot with her bare hand. I know, right? Like, yeah. The things people do in 80s horror. I feel like it should just be a phrase. Like, when you have phrases of kind of like just because, I feel like it should just be like, because 80s horror. Like, it's totally a just because thing. It's always a just because with 80s horror. Well, not always, but most of the time. Because they didn't have standards. Like I was saying, everything was greenlit. They just wanted to put movies out and make money. They take any dumb concept and run with it. When the killer was hit with the fireplace poker, you could see it was made of rubber. Yes, I remember thinking that when I was watching it too, John. Yeah, the impact on that, it's definitely like a rubber reaction from the actual poker. Oh, she died in 96. Okay. I was wondering if maybe it was before the filming of the second Slumber Party Massacre, and maybe that's why she wasn't actually in it, but guess not. Let me see if I have anything else. Oh, I wrote down, it doesn't even matter what anyone's name is in this film. Like, the first time I watched the film, I came out of it not knowing anyone's name. Like, I didn't remember anyone's name. Because it just doesn't matter. There's absolutely no depth to any of the characters. They're totally forgettable. They're just all fodder for the killer, pretty much. Oh, the other thing I wrote down is there's really nice use of shadows in this film, which, you know, for a crappy 80s slasher, well, you know, an awesome crappy 80s slasher, it's it's impressive when stuff like that happens, when there's some cool visual stuff going on. And yeah, I just felt like they did a really good job using shadows in this. See, John, I haven't seen the third one. It's made in 1990. I haven't seen the third one. I've only seen the first two. Shudder needs to get the third one, and then I'll see it. Yeah, totally Marshall. No character development whatsoever. The characters, you don't get any backstory on any of the characters. They don't develop at all. Like, why would you care? Like, at that point, you just want everyone to die when you're watching this film because none of them matter. You have no interest. You have no connection. Just saying. The character Kim was 26 in real life. Yep, mid to late 20s. I haven't seen the third one, and no real plans on seeing it. The third one's on YouTube. Okay, I can check that out. Need Gore, what's up, man? We're just talking about the Slumber Party Massacre, and I think we're getting close to starting to talk about Slumber Party Massacre 2. Third one is bad. No reason to watch, in my opinion. Well, here's the thing, though, Uncle Pete. Like I say in some of my videos, I feel like every movie is worth watching one time. Just so you can form your own opinion. Because you might find something you like in it. You never know. Haven't watched the third one, and you call yourselves horror fans. I haven't seen everything of every franchise, Heather. It's just how it is. Like, what have I not seen all of? I haven't seen all the Jaws movies. I've only seen the first Jaws movie. That's one. I've only seen the first 3 Insidious films. It was too much for me. And I only saw the first Conjuring. Also too much for me. I should rewatch those, though. Give them another shot. It's just not my subgenre. I do like the third one better than the second. Really, Marshall? Okay. Well, now I want to watch it. See, Marshall's got me interested in watching it then. And if it's on YouTube, I mean, why not? Actually, I might just watch it tonight after we're done with this. Maybe. I don't know. The attempted rape scene in number 3 is a tough watch. Ugh. Yeah, it usually is in movies. Especially older movies. Like, I Spit on Your Grave, the original. Yeah. And Last House on the Left also. I give part 1 3.5 bouncing boobs out of 5. That's pretty good then. Well, see, now I need to watch it. 3.5 bouncing boobs out of 5. That's a lot. And even Marshall's thing was uncomfortable. The rape scene. All right. Yeah. It's a little rough. Love those movies. To be honest, I feel like Slumber Party Massacre would be the slasher to reboot. We need something goofy. No, that's true. Need Gore. I feel you on that. Because it's not like the original one's not awesome. It's not done well. So there's tons of room for improvement. So yeah, I think you're totally right that it would definitely be good to remake that as a slasher. Yeah, as far as if you say what slasher should be remade, that's a good one to be on the docket for sure. I saw Killer Sofa. Gloin. What's up, man, by the way? It's Killer Sofa from last year. Interesting. I mean, the title has me interested. I would definitely like to check that out. Third one is like the Evil Dead 2 of Slumber Party Massacre, kinda. Really need Gore. Because I love Evil Dead 2 even more than the first Evil Dead. Because it's the goofier version. Oh, yep. They're talking about the runs in the baseball game again. When are they not talking about it? I have Killer Sofa on my watch list. Wasted no time adding it when I saw the title. Yeah, rightfully so, Heather. Rightfully so. Like, there's so many slashers out there, yet we only remake the ones we'll be pissed at if it's not perfect. Just remake the imperfect ones. We'll never run out. Yeah, I totally agree with that, Nigor. I totally agree. Although, I'm fine when and this is just a personal thing, but I'm fine when they remake one that I haven't seen the original yet. And then I watch the remake first, and then I watch the original, and then I'm just like, oh man, the original is so much better. And sometimes that it actually does happen that a lot of people don't know there was an original, but when the remake comes out, it creates awareness once again of the original. So it's kind of good to bring them back into the fore, like My Bloody Valentine being one. I love that. Probably my favorite slasher film, My Bloody Valentine. Very good. Is Killer Sofa like Deathbed? I haven't seen Deathbed either. I need to. That's been on my list to watch for a long time. Oh, Gloin. Okay. Question: if I like Japanese horror, it depends. I like a lot of Japanese film. I really like Takashi Miike. I've had crap. What's the guy's name? I know his name, but I'm blanking on it right now. The guy who did like Suicide Club and Cold Fish and Noriko's. I think it's Noriko's Dinner Table. That guy. But yeah, I have watched and do watch a decent amount of Japanese film. I don't watch a whole lot of Japanese horror though, because I don't like the J horror subgenre by and large. But I'll give anything a shot, really, at least once. Don't watch Killer Condom. Not worth it. Need gore. I feel like I do need to watch it though, because of the title. Once again, I didn't see the OG Dawn of the Dead till my 20s. The remake holds up well enough. I'm about to shock some people. I've never seen the original Dawn of the Dead. Seen the remake. But the problem is this. I didn't get into wanting to watch much older films until, I don't know, like 6 years ago maybe or so. And then I started just like binging it and going for it. But at that time, Dawn of the Dead had become like impossible to find, the original. I mean, you can't find it now. If you want to get a physical copy, other than that new box set that's coming out that costs an insane amount of money, and it's like, what, 4 different cuts of the film, which personally, I don't need multiple cuts of one film. Just give me the director's cut, and that's all I need. I'm not going to spend extra money on extra cuts. What's the point? It's the same film for the most part. But anyway, if you want to watch the original Dawn of the Dead, you have to buy a DVD of it on eBay for like $200, and that's not exaggerating. Took me till this year to watch The Fog. Ooh, and did you love it, Uncle Pete? I love The Fog. I love The Fog. That movie's so good. Oh, I see your next comment. You loved it so much. As you should. That movie's great. That's one of my favorite John Carpenter films. The Fog. Love it. Killer Condom's on YouTube. Oh, cool. So is Dawn of the Dead every cut? Really? Huh. I would think for sure it wouldn't be on there. And, I mean, this kind of... I feel dumb saying this, but I never thought to look for it on YouTube. And I watch a lot of YouTube. That's weird. But thanks for pointing that out, Need Gore. Appreciate that. Love Japanese horror. One of my favorites is Carved, the Slit-Mouthed Woman from 2007. I've known about that, and I've seen the cover art for it. I'll keep that in mind. I can check that out. Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Slumber Party Massacre? Texas Chainsaw Massacre for sure, Marshall. Because it's better paced. It's a lot better paced. Like I was saying, like you have a lot of stints of time in Slumber Party Massacre where there's no killing going on. You get the killer in the beginning, and then he disappears for a long amount of time, and then he shows up, and then there's some killing going on, but it's just way better pacing of things, and it's more intense with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There's so many John Carpenter films, hard to pick one. Well, I mean, if you have to pick one, the answer is The Thing. So, just saying. It's his crowning achievement, in my opinion. Alright, so it seems like we're pretty much done with Slumber Party Massacre. The Slumber Party Massacre, sorry. So let's start talking about Slumber Party Massacre 2. And I'm very interested to see what you guys have to say about that. I know some people have already thrown out there, I didn't like it as much, it was really goofy, but let's dig into what's behind it. I don't know if you guys have any theories off the bat why the film is the way it is. I have a few theories, and we can kind of go back and forth. We can hash that out, see what we think ultimately. I'm not 100% on everything. I just have some ideas on it and what makes sense to me, but I saw some interesting stuff in it. And right before I started the live stream, I actually went back and I watched the very end of it, and then I rewound and watched the very beginning of it real quick. I need to check out more John Carpenter films. I watched Halloween and The Thing and Escape from New York. Yeah, all great films. Love it. You should watch like as much John Carpenter as possible. There's a lot of really good stuff out there. Sure, yeah, he's definitely made more good ones. Just check everything out that he does. It's all worth watching at least once. And a lot more visceral. You got it, zombie. Why do people get angry when someone brings up The Happening and Mark Wahlberg? It wasn't that bad. I haven't seen The Happening. I would watch it. People just get mad in general whenever anyone brings up M. Night Shyamalan films if it's not The Sixth Sense. I don't think M. Night Shyamalan is as bad as everyone says. And I'll tell you, I thought Lady in the Water was fine. I didn't see any problems with that movie. It was a fine movie. What else? Devil. The movie Devil with the people in the elevator. I thought that was decent. And I think people just like to crap on M. Night Shyamalan. Doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, Marshall. Correct. John Carpenter is the shit. Need Gore likes J-horror for splatter and Korean horror for the storytelling. Yeah. You should check, Need Gore, you should check out the Korean horror films they have on Shudder then. For their originals, they do have good ones on there. I was 13 when Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out. Jeez, I wasn't born. That sounded like a mean comment. I didn't mean it to be. You guys are lighting it up. I gotta rewind. Dawn in Me has a nice autographed picture from The Fog. Oh, nice. That's awesome, Heather. Never saw The Happening. Am I missing out? Probably not, Kenny. From what I've heard. GJ was really going for it in this movie. For sure. Only seen Slumber Party Massacre twice. Didn't care for it. Hated the killer. Probably John because he's over the top. He's very, he's goofy. Yeah, he's definitely goofy. Marshall, I thought Slumber Party Massacre 2 was atrocious. I watched it sober. Should have watched it with my lady. Maybe would have enjoyed it more. I assume when you say watch it with your lady, you mean tequila. Because, of course. Fell in love with Amy in part 2. Okay. I see that, Uncle Pete. Slumber Party Massacre 2 had a Prom Night 2 vibe. Need Gore. Huh. Prom Night 2 vibe. Why do you say that? Elaborate on that, please. Wish they didn't reveal the killer so early in the dream sequences in the second one. Yeah, I could see that, Kenny. Happening's not that bad. The killer was kind of corny. The killer's very corny. Happening was entertaining. The people that hate Signs are crazy, Need Gore. Signs is great. The only problem with Signs is when you see the aliens. But you can admit that other than that, the film is really good. I think he redeemed himself with The Visit. I haven't seen that, but I do want to. Signs was scary. Signs was very scary. Love Visit. I still gotta watch that. Dude, who here saw Mom Monsters? I haven't seen that yet, Nigor. I do need to. People shit on M. Night because they all expected The Sixth Sense over and over again. True. All of his movies do not have twists. I loved the Glass trilogy. I haven't seen the final one in that. I haven't seen Glass, but Unbreakable was my favorite M. Night Shyamalan film. That was great. And I thought Split was really good. Swing Away. Yeah. Loved it. I like The Village too, John. A lot of people crapped on The Village, and I think the reason that they did is because they were expecting horror, and it's not really horror. If you take away an expectation of horror with that film, it's a good film. When the alien walked across the road, I jumped. Oh, nice. Check it out. Zombie. Should be on Shudder. Who remembers the name of the two police officers interviewing the kids? John, you're getting exactly to something I was going to get to. 100%. This is one of the cruxes of Slumber Party Massacre 2, is what John's saying right here. The police officers' names. One of their names. Yeah, the look for an alien creeped you out. Yeah. Yeah, I gotta check out The Visit. Okay, so one of the reasons there's someone who had asked for me to really deep dive on Slumber Party Massacre 2, and that's kind of why we did Slumber Party Massacre 1 and 2 for our live stream. The person did not show up for this, but hopefully they'll check out the recording of this on YouTube whenever. If not, this was fun though. So they wanted to know if there was a much deeper meaning to it. When they were watching the film, it seemed that they were just kind of seeing the events of it, and they wanted to kind of get some explanation as to what does the end of this film mean, what's really going on. Is Courtney crazy? Did she just imagine everything, or did this actually happen? So my theory, and obviously we can talk about this, is that she was losing her shit, basically, a little bit in the beginning, and what ends up happening by the end of the film is that the killer who has been in her head and has been a part of her nightmares actually comes out into the real world and does the killing and everything. Now, what John is talking about is that the one officer's name when he shows up is Kruger, which that is the moment in the film when they're indicating to you, just like Freddy Krueger, the killer is about to come out of Courtney's nightmares. And that's what happens after they leave. So, yeah, I think that's actually what happens in it. Oh, yeah, and it was Officer Voorhees as well. That's true, John. Krueger and Voorhees. Okay, so what's important to note about Slumber Party Massacre 2 is the way it starts is Courtney having a nightmare. She's sleeping, she's having a really good dream, and then all of a sudden she's having a nightmare. And the nightmare it's pieces of what's going on, or what happened in the past that traumatized her, the events from the first one, because Courtney is the younger girl, Valerie's sister from the first one, obviously. So she's having nightmares about what happened and what she witnessed. She's been traumatized, and it's flashes of the traumatizing stuff that happened in the first film, intercut with a few things that are going to happen in the film. So the first indicator to me in the film that stuff is starting to come out of her nightmares and into the real world is the dead bird when she leaves her house in the morning. Because there's a flash of that dead bird in the montage of the nightmare she has in the beginning, and it looks exactly the same when she finds that dead bird after she's had that nightmare. So I think that's the first indicator that what's just been in her head and what's been her nightmares for so long, because she hasn't dealt with them, are going to become a physical personification and come out of her within the film. Just saying. And I have some other indicators. I'm going to talk about some other stuff. In real life, Courtney is the daughter of a Baptist preacher. That is why she didn't do any nude scenes. Makes sense. And I don't need them. I'm fine with it. I think she's in the asylum, and this was all nightmare while she's in treatment, and we're watching her nightmare. So, yeah, Uncle Pete, like, that is one theory on it, is that the whole time she's always been in the asylum. So that is possible. That's possible that's the way they want it to be, because obviously in the very end of the film, she wakes up in an asylum and she's screaming, and then the drill's coming through the floor. So maybe. But my theory is that that's just a symbol in the end of that she can't actually get rid of the trauma. Because the driller killer in that film is a physical manifestation within her dreams and then within her real life, if you believe that was real life. He's a physical manifestation of the trauma that she hasn't dealt with. Because one of the things that's talked about in the very beginning of the film with Courtney's mother is that she says that the doctor, the psychologist or psychiatrist, the psychologist, I believe, that was treating Valerie was saying that she ended up in such a bad state because she never dealt with the events of what happened from the first film. And then Courtney voices later that she's afraid of becoming like Valerie. Now, then she talks about when she's starting to see this killer in her dreams, she visualizes that the killer has killed Valerie and is now coming for her. So that's the manifestation in her head of her fear of all the trauma that Valerie never dealt with, doing her in mentally, and then coming for her. And now, since she hasn't dealt with it, she's going to end up with the same fate. Because once again, like I said, she says in the film that she's afraid she's going to end up like Valerie in a mental institution. So, and then the other thing is, think about the composition of the driller killer himself. He is a amalgam of the two things that are most influential in Courtney's life. The traumatic events of the first film, which is the drill portion and the killer aspect, and music and her band, which is the guitar portion of the killing weapon and the musical aspect of the killer. So the best thing in her life and the worst thing in her life put together is the driller killer. And that's partially why he's kind of goofy and over the top, is because that's the lighter side that she's put into it, with the darker side being, the drill and all the killing theories. And then there were some other things that I wanted to point out as well, real quick, about certain kills parallel, or certain things she sees throughout the film are parallel with traumatic events that she witnessed in the first movie. And that is the hand in the sandwich is one of them. So her visualization of the hand in the sandwich is directly from when she saw the killer's hand get cut off in the first one. And that's one of the clips that plays in her nightmare, if you remember. So that's coming into real life in what she's seeing. The other one is the chicken. When the chicken comes out of the fridge, in the first movie, she finds that dead body in the fridge. The chicken is the parallel to that, her finding that dead body in the fridge. Because why else would she have a traumatic experience just going into a fridge and the chicken being there? It's because it's the past trauma of when she opened that fridge and there was a dead body in it. It's reoccurring to her. Let me see. I'll catch up on some comments. I have some other stuff to throw out. I think she's... the killer is Courtney. The killer... I mean, you could look at it as Courtney is the killer as well. Yeah, zombie. They pulled a Jason Goes to Hell and cross horror universes out of nowhere. Yeah, Nigor. She plays guitar, he plays guitar. Yep. Her id, I know it's a stretch. No, I don't think that's a stretch, zombie. Not at all. I didn't like all the head-on shots. It was distracting. Yeah, head-on shots are weird, Marshall. It definitely makes you feel like they shouldn't be doing that from a film standpoint. I agree, Marshall. I wonder why the director did that, thinking about what he was trying to say. She. Written and directed by a woman. Deborah Brock. Also, one of the guys did have a Freddy Krueger mask on when they were spying on them. Truth. Wow, I never put that together about the killer being a mix of the two things. I love when you see something new in a movie. Right, exactly. And I hadn't seen that until I watched it again recently. That's why, mind blown. You're analyzing the film well. Oh, thank you, Marshall. I appreciate that. I was hoping I was hitting on some good stuff. I might enjoy it more on a rewatch now. Cool. Yeah, think about these things and then rewatch it, because when I was seeing that in it the next time, I was like, well, now I don't hate it as much as I did when I first watched it. Thanks, Need Gore. Straight gangsta, because I didn't look down at my notes, really. Yeah. Okay, so I am going to have to look down at my notes right now, because there's something that was really important in this film that will kind of tie a lot of this together, in my opinion, that was thrown out by one of the characters. So at one point, one of the characters says to Courtney, she brings up the concept of subconscious projection. So I looked up what subconscious projection is, and this is a quote that I took from, I forget what the website was. So here's the quote: "Psychological projection is a defense mechanism people subconsciously employ in order to cope with difficult feelings or emotions. Psychological projection involves projecting undesirable feelings or emotions onto someone else rather than admitting to or dealing with the unwanted feelings. Have you ever disliked someone only to become convinced that the person had a vendetta against you? This is a common example of psychological projection." Psychological projection is what is happening in the film with Courtney. Now, I think that it then goes to a supernatural level where her psychological projection gets so bad and all of her nightmares are being projected into her life because she's not dealing with them, all that trauma, that it then pulls it out of her nightmare and actually into reality. It takes it that next step, and then that's what the killer is he is the ultimate psychological projection. Her mind has had the power to bring him into actual being. Just a theory. But I do think that this film is really trying to say that, I think I wrote it down best as I can see it. The message that if you don't confront and deal with past trauma, it can become a monster and wreak havoc in your life. You can't fully get rid of it either. It'll always be there. And I think that's what the very end of the film is just a reminder that even though she killed the guy in real life, she's then having a nightmare after the fact that she's trapped in an asylum and he's there drilling through the floor, because you can't actually get rid of the trauma. It's always there. You have to manage it. You have to deal with it. The last names of the characters, too. I can't remember which girl's last name changed to Craven. Oh, really? I didn't notice that, Zombie. That's really interesting. I like that. Why was a 12-year-old character reading a Playgirl magazine? It's a good question, John. Although, haven't we all seen pornography when we were well underage? I know I did. I found porn in places. Gotta take off all, take care everyone. It's always great to talk movies. Yes, Uncle Pete. With everyone here, I learn a lot and love to share my ideas as well. We love you, Uncle Pete. You the man. I'm sure to listen to the rest of the stream tomorrow. Cool. Hope you enjoy it. Oh, yeah, the It 2 shirt. Yeah, this is a Fright Rags. I'm sorry, Fright Crate. Sorry, I'm getting it all in there. Yeah, it's a good shirt. They always have good shirts in Fright Crate. I didn't see the second, or It Chapter 2 yet. I saw the first one and really did enjoy it. So. But no reading it on film for the world to see. Yeah, true that. Mr. Tightwhite, what's up? What up, you guys? Big horror fan here. I think the series is so beloved because the first two movie killers blew it out of the park. In the first film, the driller killer was genuinely scary. Yeah, because he seemed psychotic, except for the denim. That is not scary. So much denim. The second was like Andrew Dice Clay. I didn't even think of that, but you're right, he kind of was. Which, by the way, that actor did such a good job with that role, I think. Say Marshall was solid. Welcome, by the way, Mr. Tightwhite. Kimberly MacArthur, who played Amy, was Playboy Playmate Miss January 1982. Interesting. Didn't know that. Yeah, I assumed you researched that. But, so what I threw out there, that's my 2 cents on the film, my theory on why it is kind of so crazy. And just like when you have dreams, when you have nightmares, things are zany, things are wacky. So the fact that it really is a crossing over between Courtney's nightmare / dream life when she's sleeping, and it's crossing over into actual reality with her. That's why it's kind of dreamlike. It's like it's a meshing of her worlds in a terrible way. Atanas Illich, yep, guitar killer. Son of billionaire Mike Illich. Really? Little Caesars founder? Nuh-uh. John, that is crazy. Wow. Did anyone notice Courtney and her friend shutting the door on the other girl? They could have totally saved her in the second one towards the end. That's true, Kenny. That's true. Yeah, I mean, some of these movies, people do things where you're just like, okay. And it Chapter 2 was kind of better than the second half of the original. Oh, wow. Don't expect to be blown away, though. Yeah, I always try to temper expectations. Need gore. Second killer looked like John Travolta. Yeah. Yeah, like Andrew Dice Clay and John Travolta. I hadn't thought about either of those two, but now I like definitely see him as the love child of Andrew Dice Clay and John Travolta for sure. That's awesome. Yeah, obviously from Grease, Kenny, because of the outfit, for sure. Who else likes movies like us? This is amazing. Yeah, trailer time. What's up? Welcome, welcome. We love movies. We love horror specifically. I love, we love other movies, but we just talk about horror here. Never saw part 3. I didn't, Mr. Tightweight. I didn't. I'm gonna eventually take care of that. Hopefully sooner rather than later, but I'm gonna address that. Couldn't get into scrutinizing part 2 too closely. I'm only giving it 1 bad dream out of 5. I understand that, John, and I felt that way the first time I watched it. It really turned me off the first time I watched it because I was just like, this is dumb, it's wacky, it's weird. The pacing's a little bit off to it. The musical scene with the killer like really throws me for a loop when I watched it the first time. But when I was then asked to watch it again by someone and really dig into it, I was like, challenge accepted, I will do this. And it's crazy because I saw a bunch more into it and it made me appreciate the film a lot more. And that just goes to show that there are a lot of films out there that with one watch, they're not good because you don't really know what's going on. With an additional watch or more watches, it becomes something totally different. It kind of transforms because you see more to it. One film in particular, it's not horror, but when I saw the very first Doctor Strange film, I didn't really like it that much. I was like, it's okay. But then I watched it a second time and I was like, this is really good. Now the difference is, the first time I watched it, it didn't feel like a Marvel movie to me. And I was expecting a Marvel movie. It was so outside of what they had typically done. It was its own thing. It was its own world. And so I had to understand what that world was first in order to really enjoy the story and everything. So the second time I watched it, I understood it, I knew what it was, so I could enjoy it and pay more attention. And I feel like a lot of film ends up being like that, unless it's just unbelievably stupid. But Slumber Party Massacre 2 seemed like that on the first watch. But there was a lot more going on. I really think there's so much going on in this. I love the fact that they focus so much on trauma and dealing with trauma, which isn't a new thing in horror. It's actually a staple of horror films and horror books and everything. I mean, hell, Stephen King addresses trauma and family issues so much, and his son, Joe Hill, does the same thing in a lot of his stories. Couldn't get in. Oh, yeah, that Sheila, lead singer, Friday the 13th, A New Beginning. Yes, John. Sheila was in Friday the 13th, A New Beginning. She was also in one of my favorite films, Society. I love Society. I'm sure you guys talked about the girl eating pizza off the dead body. Yeah, Mr. Tightwhite, we did. We totally did. Everyone had something to say about that. And it was all pretty much the same thing of, what a wacky, weird thing. Funny, though. All movies all the time. That's right, Gore. Are you still sticking to the plan for the next stream? Yes, Marshall. Unless people really want to change it, I feel like it's a great plan. We get something very serious we can dig into, and we get something very light that we can kind of laugh about, and really laugh about. Sally Drummer. She was also in Friday the 13th, New Blood. Oh, cool. Oh, or wait. I think it was Sally I was thinking about, who was also in Society. Sorry. She was the one. I had to buy it off eBay. It's hard to find on streaming service. Yeah. Shudder has it right now. Doctor Strange 2 is going to be crazy with Sam Raimi. Yeah. Plus, from what I've heard, Doctor Strange 2 is supposed to be the first horror film or horror-esque film in the Marvel MCU. All for that, because I like superhero stuff, and obviously I love horror. Let me see if there's anything else I needed to say here. I think I may have gotten everything. Yeah, that musical number, dude, in the second one. Just the zit scene. Let's talk about the fact that in Slumber Party Massacre 2, the zit scene is a good scene. That's a great scene. It's really gross. The practical effects look good. I really enjoyed that. Also, the soundtrack. We already talked about it a little bit, but the soundtrack I enjoyed for the second film, and it's way better than the soundtrack for the first one, obviously. Okay, yeah. That's all I had to say then. Part 3? Yeah, I didn't. We're not talking about part 3, unfortunately. Because I haven't seen it. It's not on any streaming service. Although maybe it's on YouTube. I'm in Spain, but the S is silent because Halloween Kills got delayed until 2021. Ooh. You're in Spain, Marshall? I thought you were in Philly. Or you're just in Spain at the moment. Or typo. I don't know. Yeah, I saw that Halloween Kills got delayed until 2021. The teaser looked intriguing-ish, but that doesn't mean anything since it's so far away. I feel like at some point they're gonna have to give up on the hope that we can do regular theaters with some of these movies and just release them VOD. You know? I will say, though, something to get excited about, people. The seventh Tremors movie is coming out in October. I think it comes out on Halloween. I think it's going to be on Netflix. I'm excited for that. The S is silent in Spain. Oh. Yeah. Got it. Okay. No, I meant, did you say part 3 was on Shudder, or did I misread? Oh, yeah, no. Sorry, Mr. Tightweight. No, it's not on Shudder, unfortunately. Part 3 is not. Only 1 and 2, unfortunately. You just wish they would get, all of these films, but it's hard sometimes. Just like, they have the first three Sleepaway Camp films on there, but there are 2 other Sleepaway Camp films that I have not seen that I want to see. Well, do I? I don't know. Because number 3 is... it's not good. It's just not good. The Friday the 13th Scream Factory box set. Yeah, Marshall. That's a heavy price, but man, is that super enticing. But I have, 1 through 8 on Blu-ray, like that one Blu-ray pack. So I don't know if I need it, because do I want to watch past 8 all that often? I don't think so. But it does look awesome. I will say that. It's just that's a big price tag right there. I'd rather save that money instead and put it towards individual older films that I really want to get, well, I have some coming in, but like Society and stuff like that. Because I don't have that on Blu-ray. Might have to buy it. Yup. Yeah, I hear you, man. So I've actually been buying Fright Rags shirts a few times. And I gave in most recently. I didn't want to make another purchase, but I gave in because they had new designs for 2 things that I'm huge into. And I was like, I just feel like I need these. I'm gonna have to spend this money. Twin Peaks. There's a really cool Twin Peaks shirt on there, And Phantasm 2, they just got shirts for Phantasm 2. And it's very hard to find Phantasm shirts that are, like, well designed. Super excited about the new horror movie Lady Antebellum. What? That or Antebellum. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think that is it Antebellum? I think it's something else. Antrim? Is it Antrim? Is that what you're talking about, Mr. Tightwhite? Because I've heard about Antrim, and I do want to see that. Although that's another horror story. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so as far as like reviews go coming out on my channel, like I was saying, I just watched the first three Sleepaway Camps and recorded reviews for those. So those will be coming out. I'm going to be watching the 3 Maniac Cop films and doing reviews for those coming out. I have a review for one of the movies we're doing for the next live stream already done, so that'll be coming out along with the other one that we're going to do. So I guess I might as well at this point just, some of you already know, but I'll just reveal it right now so we're all on the same page. So the next live stream will be August 1st, Saturday, August 1st at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to watch before the live stream. We'll talk about it on the live stream. The new Invisible Man movie and the film Mausoleum from the 80s that is on Shudder right now. Trust me when I say Mausoleum is an unbelievably awesome, terrible film. It is trash, but it's awesome how trash it is. I'm telling you, there's a lot to laugh at. I laughed a lot when I saw that film for the first time, and I'm excited to watch it again. Because, man, it's fun. Lee Whannell's doing the Wolfman movie with Ryan Gosling. I'm hoping it's good, Marshall. And I'll tell you, I know we talked about Candyman, and I just read an article recently, actually a few articles about the new Candyman in Rue Morgue magazine, which I highly recommend, by the way, if anyone's looking for an excellent horror magazine. Rue Morgue, unbelievable. Wonderful writing. And that's where I actually get a lot of ideas for films to watch. But, yeah. I was reading the articles about new Candyman, and it's getting me pretty excited for it when it comes out. And then I had seen the newer trailer, which I know we kind of talked about. It looked really good. Yeah, let's go Invisible Man. That's right. John, if you're still on here, remind me that for the, not the next one, but the one after that we should probably try and get to your film you've been asking for a while, The Suckling. Especially if we can find that somewhere. Actually, I'm going to see if it's on YouTube. Because it's like everything's on YouTube, you know? Let me find that. I hate using a controller to do this. It always takes forever. The Suckling trailer. The Suckling. Come on. Is the whole... No, it doesn't look like the whole movie's on here. It's trailer and then a bunch of reviews. No. Oh, no. Oh, there it is. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Let me see if this is actually what it is. Down for Invisible Man. Cool. Look forward to it. Awesome. How do you spell the second movie we're discussing? Mausoleum. Mausoleum. This isn't the full movie. You're full of crap. Alright, well, Suckling's not on. We'll figure something out with that. Eventually. We'll get that figured out. But trust me, Mausoleum. It's hell of a time. Hell of a time. Antebellum is by the producer of Justin Peele's U.S. Google it and check out the preview. It's an insane premise. Okay, yeah, I'll check it out. Oh, it's in Shudder. Yeah, Mausoleum's on Shudder. Just start putting in MAU on Shudder and it'll come up. Mausoleum. Oh, okay. Suckling was on Tubi potentially. Yeah, we could potentially do that at some point. Oh, John, you saw Mausoleum? You loved it? It's so bad, isn't it? It's so bad. Some trash acting in that, but it makes it so awesome how bad the acting is. Oh my. Us, not US. Okay, yeah, got it. Oh, okay, got it. Now I know what you're saying. It's by the same person who produced the movie Us by Jordan Peele. I liked Us, by the way. To be honest, this is not a common opinion, but I liked Us more than Get Out. Just saying. Just saying. Trying to think if there's anything else horror-wise that I wanted to say. I know I got Uncle Pete hooked on some A24 films, so he's looking for as many of those as he can to check out. I have not checked out 13 Seconds yet, Zombie. I have not. I still need to. I have like a laundry list of stuff to get through film-wise. I was going to say something else. Lost it. One of those moments. I'm getting old. Because that one's so bad that there's no redemption for it. Well, then I have to see it. I really want to see it now. When you tell me something's total trash, I just need to see it. Suckling premise is amazing, and the beginning and the end are epic. The middle of the movie has the worst waste of time acting I've ever seen. You're just making it sound so good, Mr. Tightwhite. You're making it sound so good. Seriously. Man. Yeah. Alright, anything else anyone really wants to throw out there and talk about? Because otherwise we'll just wrap up. Because I guess we're done. We're done with the Slumber Party Massacres. It was fun. Fun to revisit those films. Like I said, I still need to check out my special features on my Blu-ray for the first Slumber Party Massacre. Sure, yeah. Go ahead, Heather. Question about a future live stream? Go ahead and ask. Can the live stream have more basketball? Sure. It's a joke about the first Slumber Party Massacre. Oh, you finally watched Dead Alive, Marshall? Nice, nice. Yeah. That's an insanely crazy film, and it holds up. It so holds up. Oh, man. It's such a, like I said on the last live stream when we were talking about that, it's so unbelievably unique. It was unique when it came out, and it's still unique now. There's just nothing. I guess I can't say there's nothing else like it because Evil Dead's kind of like it, but there's not much like it, I can say. That's all I got for these two films. Yeah, John, me too. Thanks for all those tidbits, by the way. All the trivia. That was cool. I like that stuff. Oh, also something I can just throw out. I know everyone knows this probably, but Season 3 of The Last Drive-In. And then also we have August 14th is going to be the summer sleepover is what they're calling it, which is the summer special for Joe Bob. Excuse me. I like exposing myself to different horror films and getting out of my comfort zone. Yes, all about that. Recently saw Maniac 2, and that one was disturbing. Dude, ooh, I love Maniac. Maniac is so good, Marshall. I love that. Glad you saw it. I've been trying to get in touch with a director of a couple of horror movies. If I can talk him into showing up here, would you consider having everyone watch the movies? 100%. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. That would actually be really awesome. I won't expect it to happen, but yes, if, then for sure. That would be really cool, Heather. That would be really, really fun. I watched The Beach House and Z on Prime or Shudder last night. I would like to hear y'all's opinions of these movies. Okay, I can tell you right now because I watched them. The Beach House, I liked it. I would have liked to have seen what they could have done with it with a bigger budget, because I feel like it's the concept, it kind of begs for a larger budget. It was good, though. It felt a little bit drawn out to me. The one cringy thing that happens to the one character in it, because I don't want to spoil anything since it just went up on Shudder. The one kind of cringy, messed up thing that happens to the person really like made my skin crawl, because that's like one of the things that really gets me. So that was good. So it had some good moments, but yeah, it just made me really want a larger budget version of it, which I would say it reminded me a lot of Color Out of Space by Richard Stanley. And if you haven't seen Color Out of Space and you have seen The Beach House, make sure you see Color Out of Space, because there are a lot of similarities there. And Z, I did not like, but the main actress in Z did a phenomenal job. And the only reason that that movie was even semi-watchable for me was her performance. Everything else about it just didn't jive. It didn't jive for me. I also watched, I put a review out for it, no spoiler review, Lake of Death. That thing looks beautiful, looks amazing. There's a lot of amazing technical things about it. The ending I found kind of wanting, though. It's a good build, but I was a little let down by the ending. But decent film. Haven't been able to get in touch with him yet, but I haven't given up. Keep trying, keep trying. Thank you, Heather. That would be awesome. Once spent a whole month watching one disturbing movie a day for 30 days. It was brutal. Yeah, John, I can imagine. Okay, so on the topic of brutal, so I need to ask this. Has anyone here seen The House That Jack Built? Because I'm debating on whether I should actually watch that movie or not, because to be honest, I'm a little bit scared of how messed up it is, apparently. But I have seen Martyrs, so I hated The Beach House. I turned off the movie at the hour mark. I rarely do that. I don't blame you. I mean, Mr. Tightwhite, there are definitely long stints in that film that just, there's not anything happening. So, I don't blame you. What's the most disturbing movie you've watched? The Blue Room. Ooh, that is a good question, Marshall. Good question. Yeah, Z was, I don't even think Z should have been overrated. Shouldn't have been rated. It was just not good. Okay, so Mr. Taiwa, you saw The House That Jack Built, so give me your opinion. Do you think it is way too messed up to watch? I mean, would I have a problem watching it? Would it be too uncomfortable? Oh, August Underground was one of them? Ugh. Yeah, I've heard about August Underground stuff. A little rough, from what I've heard. Oh, the other thing I wanted to let everyone know, I have my no spoiler review coming out Monday for Impedagore, which is going to be on Shudder on Thursday, the 23rd of July. And Impedagore is worth a watch. Now, bear with it. Don't turn it off, because it does, towards like the middle, get pretty drawn out and slow. But just stick with it, because the end is pretty nuts. The end is worth it, in my opinion. Okay, thank you, Mr. Tightwhite. Martyrs is more disturbing. Okay, good. Then I can probably watch it. No problem. John, you have nothing to fear but fear itself. Nice. Okay, it's not that bad. Okay, good. I have heard that it's just basically Lars von Trier just like jerking himself off in the film, basically. Metaphorically speaking. Have you watched The Night of the Virgin yet? I haven't seen it. Yeah, Marshall, I agree. It is cool that I get Shudder screeners. How I got that is one of these. It's one of those things where it never hurts to ask type thing. There have been a bunch of things in my life where people, I'll say something and people are like, I'll be like, I'm thinking about doing this, and people are like, oh well, I don't know that you're going to be able to. And I'll be like, well, if I don't try or I don't ask, then it's definitely a no, but I have to at least try because maybe it's a yes. And the screener thing was one of those. I just had some time ago contacted Shudder and I was like, look, I'm doing horror movie reviews on a YouTube channel. You guys send me screeners. So they added me to their media list. So yeah, if they have movie screeners, I can get them. And it's fun. It's cool. And I also like being able to put something out there that people can watch without spoilers to kind of give them an idea if they would want to invest the time in watching the movie or not. Because it's really a mixed bag with their exclusive, and not as much with their exclusives, but with their originals. It's a real mixed bag. There's some real trash on Shudder as far as their originals go, but there's some really good stuff too. And there's in between as well, obviously. Yeah, but in Pedagore on Thursday. I can't say much about it right now, but watch my no spoiler review if you want to know stuff about it. But I recommend, for sure. What is the best Shudder exclusive? Exclusive? It's hard to tell because some of the thing is, I can tell you like my favorite exclusives or originals for them because, well, actually, I'm gonna go through the app a little bit. I thought Haunt was great, and I think Haunt is one of the exclusives. I really liked Haunt, so that might be one of my answers. But I'm gonna look here because I think they have it broken down by their stuff. Collections. Oh no, browse. I want exclusive and original. There we go. Scare Package. One of my favorites that they did. Yeah, so Scare Package was one of theirs. Yummy was good recently. That's a fun zombie flick. Monstrum was really interesting. I like that. That's a South Korean film that has a lot to it. The Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street documentary. Oh my god, Dogs Don't Wear Pants. That's my answer. That's my number one. That's the best Shudder exclusive. That's the best Shudder exclusive. Dogs Don't Wear Pants. I'm telling you right now. Summer of '84. I think Summer of '84 was an exclusive. That one is also up there for me. I would say maybe that's number 2, Summer of '84, and then The Headhunter. The Headhunter's on that list for me as well. Yeah, just looking at this. Yeah, so these are I'm just gonna go through a list. These are the ones I would highly recommend that you watch that are Shudder exclusive or original. Scare Package. Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street. Dogs Don't Wear Pants, and that's my number one. I love that film. It's amazing. You want to talk about deeper meaning and subtext to a film? That movie, if you allow it, will emotionally break you in a good way and rebuild you. Like, I got emotional watching that movie. Like, it is an experience. if you're open to what's going on in the film and what's at the core of the story, it's beautiful and it's really well done. Yeah, The Headhunter, Haunt, Nightmare Cinema. I quite liked Nightmare Cinema. One Cut of the Dead. One Cut of the Dead is awesome. Oh my god, Incident in a Ghostland is on there. Yeah, definitely watch Incident in a Ghostland. It is. I needed a palate cleanser after that because it's by Pascal Laugier, the guy who did Martyrs, and it is similarly bleak and abusive and destructive and just it's tough. But good, but very good. For fun, their Puppet Master movie on there, the Littlest Reich, the documentary Horror Noir, I think is really awesome. I highly recommend that one. Yeah, Summer of '84. I love Summer of '84. That movie's so good. I've heard a lot about Terrified. I haven't watched it yet, but I've heard that's really good. I've also heard that Satan's Slaves is really good, and that's actually by the same guy who wrote and directed Impetigore that's hitting Shudder this week. So I definitely want to watch that after watching Impetigore because I dug it. Mayhem is a good time. I did enjoy that one. There's a lot of stuff on here that I was like, eh. Yeah, that's my list. But if you are watching this right now and you have not seen Dogs Don't Wear Pants, watch it. And I hope you like it as much as I do. I can't guarantee that you will because, I am not all of you. We have different tastes sometimes, but Summer of '84, yeah, was exclusive. So good. Just shouted you out on the stream, Carlin. Expect a million more stuff. Need gore. Thank you. That would be amazing. I'm at 599 at the moment. Hoping to get over 1,000 at some point, but if that doesn't happen, it is what it is. Doing this for fun mainly. Signed up for Netflix DVD by mail. Yes! That's what I'm talking about, John. People always look at me like I'm crazy when I say that I'm still doing the Netflix DVD service. But yes, like you just pointed out, they have a great selection, especially on old horror films. It is 100% worth it for that. Yeah, '84 was great, Mr. Tightwhite. I love that movie. Actually, that one movie with a pumpkin and a knife and a black background with a white mask killer. That's the best Shudder exclusive. Marshall, that's funny. I don't think I've seen it. I will check it out. Cool. It's Netflix DVD worth it. Unbelievably worth it. Oh, Mr. Tightwhite, you saw Incident at Ghostland? Wasn't it rough though? Like in a good way. It was just like, I don't know, it just made me feel like depressed at the end. I was just like, oh, but it was good. Another disturbing film not for the squeamish is the Serbian film. I've heard that. I've not seen it. Okay, I just realized I saw the Dog Pants movie. I forgot. Well, did you like it? It was good. It's about domination, torture, dominatrix. Yes and no. Mr. Tightwhite. At the core of Dogs Don't Wear Pants, it's about a person who loses... It's about a man who loses his wife and struggles to continue with his life without her, and has an opportunity to feel again something through a dominatrix, and finds basically a new life and a new way to live and a new love for life through the weird, messed up relationship he forges with her. It's not super horror, in my opinion. There are some kind of horrific things, but I think it looks amazing. It's very well shot. All the technical stuff, the acting, the music, the cinematography, it's all so good. And the story, I just think it's a great story. I think it's amazing. I want to rewatch that. Yeah. Okay. Glad you felt the same, Mr. Tightweight, about Incident at Ghostland. Yeah. I remember watching it, going into it and being like, oh, Pascal Augier, I really liked Martyrs. And then by the time the movie was done, I was like, that made me feel a lot like Martyrs did. And then I had to put on another, like, lighter movie after that. I couldn't just go to sleep because I was watching it at night. I was just like, I need a palate cleanser. Like, I need something to bring my mood up after that. That is so bleak. And then what happened in the during the filming of that was terrible. The one actress got cut up. She like went through that glass window when she was Laugier pushed her too hard to bang really hard on a glass door, and she ended up going through it, and it like slashed her face, and she had to have like an insane amount of stitches, and she's got this like horrible scar on her face now. My next film from Netflix Blu-ray is Doctor Sleep, Then the Man Who Laughs. What's The Man Who Laughs? I don't know that one. Doctor Sleep, I hope you enjoy. It's good. I think it's a good follow-up to The Shining. Probably the best you can really do. And it's tough because it's never going to be as good as The Shining, especially for someone like me who The Shining is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's Martyrs worse than Human Centipede, by far. Yes. Martyrs is... there's so much brutality in it, and it's relentless, but it matters to the story, which sounds weird. And that's the thing. Like, when I first watched it, I remember thinking... I said, I was watching it with a friend, and I turned to him and said, I'm like, there better be a point to this, because this is excessive. And there was an actual point to it in the end. And then I was like, okay, I feel like the brutality's justified now. So I feel fine about the film. I liked it. It's tough to get through. Lars von Trier movie Melancholia isn't horror, but was scary at the end. I haven't seen any Lars von Trier, by the way. I haven't even seen Antichrist, but at some point, I mean, I plan to. I need to watch Incident again. I loved it, but parts of it went over my head. I watched a YouTuber explain it after, and I was like, holy shit, I missed the twist. You missed the twist in that? Man. When the big thing was revealed in it, it just, like, it went for me from being a good movie to being a quite good movie. Like, I was watching, I was just like, this is decent. I'm all right with this. And then the twist happened to it, and I was just like, oh shit. And it wasn't just oh shit in the sense of like, now it's quite a good film, but it was oh shit in the sense of the impact to the story and the characters in the story. It was like mind blowing. I was just like, oh my gosh. The Man Who Laughs. The main character was the inspiration behind the look of the Joker. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Now this makes sense. I've heard about that before. Yes, that makes sense now. Cool. Awesome. 1928. 2 years before I was born. Yeah, Marshall. And Tequila's Your Lady. Antichrist with William Dafoe was excellent. Yeah, I really want to watch it, especially because I love Willem Dafoe. I think he's great. And by the way, I saw him in The Lighthouse recently, and oh my gosh, he was amazing in The Lighthouse. Yeah, I hear you, Mr. Tightweight. When I drink and watch movies, I do miss a bunch. That does happen. The other thing is I'll watch movies when I'm on the phone with a friend, like we're watching the movie together, but since we end up talking during it, I end up missing a lot. And then I'm just like, oh crap, don't feel like I actually like watched the movie. But going back to the Man Who Laughs, it's insane that a movie that old is available through the Netflix streaming service. I mean, I knew they had older stuff, but I didn't know that old. Wait, was that where... That may be where I got White Zombie from. And that's a really old one, too, when I watched that years ago. It's, I tell everyone, Netflix DVD service, especially if you're into older films or older horror films, totally worth it. I want to go on like a Vincent Price film binge. That's what I really want to do. I haven't seen nearly enough films with Vincent Price in it. That's what I want to get into. Yeah. Well, I think I'm going to wrap it up here, everyone. This has been a good time. I appreciate it. Appreciate everyone showing up, participating, having fun. Mr. Tightwhite, good to see you here. Hope you come back. You're always welcome. We're doing this every other Saturday at 8, sorry, not 8, at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So to recap for everyone, the next one will be Saturday, August 1st at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we are going to be talking about The New Invisible Man and Mausoleum, which is streaming on Shudder. So, yes. Do you have a top 5 horror movies? That's tough, Mr. Tightwhite. John grew up watching the Hammer films of the 60s and 70s. Yeah, I need to watch those. I really do want to. That would be awesome. Mr. Tightwhite, I don't know if I can say top 5 horror films because there's so many horror films I like fall in love with, but off the top of my head, ones that would probably be in my top 5, I mean, definitely The Shining. I love The Shining. I think that movie's amazing. The Cabin in the Woods is really, really up there for me. That's another one I think is unbelievably great. Evil Dead 2, probably not top 5, but top 10 to 20 maybe. Love that. But yeah. I can't do a actual... I mean, I might be able to sit down at one point and like really hash out a top 5, but I'd have to put a lot of thought into it. See you in 2 weeks. Yeah, I hope I enjoy Invisible Man 2. I've heard only good things. So, we'll get to it there, Marshall. It'll be fun. And I can't wait for everyone to see Mausoleum. See you all in a couple of weeks. Yes, Heather. Thanks for showing up. Yes, and Mr. Tightwhite, feel free to join us every other Saturday as we do this. Because it's fun. But cool. Thanks, everyone. And signing off. So, keep it brutal.